Almost $3 billion, the GDP of a small country. That was the combined net worth of the occupants of the deep-sea submersible Titan that perished in the expedition to see the sunken Titanic as the submersible imploded in the North Atlantic. Although it is a tragic and sensitive subject, it is always interesting to see the aspects of these events in lenses that are not always common. The people who were on the vessel, Stockton Rush, Shazda and his son Suleiman Daoud, Hamish Harding, and Paul Henri Nargolay, were not just any random people looking for a fun trip. They were wealthy, successful people who had made it in life and were using their riches to have a bit of fun and excitement. But this was no cheap ride whatsoever, costing $250,000 per person to hitch a ride on just 10 hours on the submersible. Personally, I just say go to Vegas, because with that money, they treat you like royalty. Also, there's more danger in Vegas than the deep sea, which checks off the excitement dying box. Too soon?
It's been 84 years.
So let's start with the sub itself. With the name of Titan, the submersible was operated by an American tourism and expeditions company called Oceangate. Measuring to 22 feet or 6.5 meters in length and weighing at 20,000 pounds or 9,072 kilograms, or somewhere close to a minivan for context. For such an exorbitant fee, you would be forgiven to assume that these people are spending their time there with the highest possible levels of comfort and luxury money can buy. But have I got news for you. The interior of the sub is like a metal tube structure with very little headroom, and movement is very restricted due to the minimal space. These people don't even have a chair to sit on. All that money and they had to squat down on the floor. They do get sandwiches and a toilet though. According to documents supplied by Oceangate, the sub has the capability to dive to 2.5 miles or 4 kilometers under the surface with a sufficient safety margin. Oceangate also added that they have done over 50 test dives. During its expedition in 2022, it did suffer a battery issue requiring manual attachment to its lifting platform. Passengers are made to sign a waiver before the trip, which mentions death literally 3 times on the first page, but generally outlining the potential risks associated with the expedition. The people. Shazda Daoud was the vice chairman of Engro Corporation and director of the Daoud Hercules Corporation. He had a net worth of a reported $360 million. Born in Pakistan in 1975, he had invested in finding growth opportunities through mergers and acquisitions in textiles, fertilizers, food, and energy in publicly listed companies. In 2012, Daoud was named a young global leader by the World Economic Forum. He boarded the sub with his 19-year-old son, Suleiman, who had the idea to take his Rubik's Cube with him on the dive so he can break a world record with it. Another was Hamish Harding, a 58-year-old British businessman who was reportedly worth over $1 billion. He was a pilot and founder of Action Aviation, an international aircraft brokerage company. He's the holder of 3 world records. One is circumnavigating the globe via North and South Poles, and another for diving the deepest point of the Marianas Trench at a depth of about 11,000 meters. Then we have Paul Henri Nargolay, a French deep-sea explorer and a Titanic expert who was reportedly worth $1.5 billion. In 1986, the French Research Institute for the Expedition of the Sea contacted Nargolay about diving to the wreck of the Titanic. He wholeheartedly agreed to go, where he would do multiple dives, where he also collected lost artifacts on the Titanic itself. Finally, we have the pilot, Stockton Rush, who was the CEO of Oceangate, which he founded in 2009, and leader of the expedition. He was born in 1962 into a family that made their wealth through oil and shipping. He had a dream of being the first person to reach Mars, but realizing Mars was too early a dream for his lifetime, he turned his attention to the sea. I wanted to be Captain Kirk, and in our lifetime, the ocean is the final frontier, he told journalists in 2017. He also saw it as a means of making a profit, seeing the uber-rich as his clients, as they will be most willing to part with large sums of money. He instructed the construction of the Titan submersible. And despite the large sums of money being involved, Oceangate equipment sometimes had a tendency to disregard traditional measures. Although that may be seen as innovative and disrupting the status quo, it's not always a good idea. A former junior employee told the BBC how he was surprised to see off-the-shelf parts being used in places that should clearly have their own custom components. A CBS journalist who joined Rush on a trip down in 2022 said that Rush was driven with a video game controller. Rush even bragged about it, saying, "We run the whole thing with this game controller," holding it up.
Come on! So, it seems like a lot of the way you made this is by taking off-the-shelf parts and sort of MacGyvering them together.
Yeah. A sub like that would normally be built using steel and not carbon fiber, which is lighter and cheaper. The glass viewpoint, which the passengers would see out, was only certified up to 1.3 kilometers only. Robert McCallum, an expert and consultant for Oceangate, was not convinced of it and wrote in an email, "You're wanting to use prototype, unclassed technology in a very hostile place. As much as I appreciate entrepreneurship and innovation, you're potentially putting an entire industry at risk. 4,000 meters down in the mid-Atlantic is not a kind of place you can cut corners." With Rush responding, "Tired of industry players who try to use a safety argument to stop innovation. Safety was about culture and not paperwork," he said. Titanic film director James Cameron, who had completed 33 submersible dives to the Titanic wreck, said about Oceangate, "They didn't get certified because they knew they wouldn't pass. I was very suspect of the tech. I wouldn't have gotten in the sub." On Sunday, 18th of June, during the descent to the wreck, the US Navy said it detected sounds consistent with a catastrophic implosion. This happened due to immense water pressure the sub could not handle. During an implosion, the hull collapses inwards at a speed of 1,500 or 2,400 kilometers an hour. The time required for the sub to collapse is about 1 millisecond. The air inside of the sub is concentrated with hydrocarbons, which means there would be an explosion following the implosion. Due to factors yet to be fully determined, the 5 people on board that sub made their demise in a tragic manner. Let's close the video by saying there may not be a clear path to the sub's destruction and its construction, but let's also not forget that the standards and safety protocols are set for a reason, and disregarding them for the sake of profit or innovation can lead to events that may not be desired. What do you think is the right option? Was taking the risk worth it, or would you have gone the safer and more expensive route? Leave your choices and opinions in the comments. Thank you for watching. Until next time.